Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna. Welcome to the daily Bhagavad-gītā as it is. My name is Sitapati Das.
And my name is Danna Devi.
And today we are doing text number 14 in chapter 3.
Already 14.
Yeah.
I've been missing out a lot.
Isabella scheduled herself solidly. It goes like 2 days of Prahlad, 2 days of Isabella. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday's Prahlad. Monday, Tuesday is Isabella. And then I guess it must be like Wednesday, Thursday, you and me, maybe Friday as well. No, she scheduled herself free time. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
She's just the boss.
She's into it.
Yeah.
She loves it. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And check out the Hare Krishna Project's episode from yesterday, number 70, I think, or 72. They had Ajita Krishna Das from arshaprayoga.com came on, talking about the book changes.
Many people are having a say about it now.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting momentum. It's not going to stop.
No, we shouldn't.
Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 3.
Verse 14.
Yep, title, chapter 3.
Karma Yoga.
Karma Yoga it is, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Annād bhavanti bhūtāni parjanyād anna-sambhavaḥ yajñād bhavati parjanyo karma-samudbhavaḥ. Can you see it? Can you see it there?
Yeah, a little bit clearer. Yes, fine. I can see it.
You can?
Yeah.
Annāt
From grains
bhavanti
grow
bhūtāni
the material bodies.
parjanyāt
From rains,
anna-sambhavaḥ.
food and grains. Food grains
Food grains, yes. Sambhavaḥ
are made possible
yajñāt
from the performance of sacrifice.
bhavati
Become possible
parjanyaḥ
rains,
yajñaḥ
performance of yajña,
karma
prescribed duties,
samudbhavaḥ.
born of.
You want to do the translation?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajña, sacrifice, and yajña is born of prescribed duties.
Purport. By His Divine Grace, Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Śrīla Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa, a great commentator on the Bhagavad-gītā, writes as follows. Ye indrādy-aṅga-tayāvasthitaṁ yajñaṁ sarveśvaraṁ viṣṇum abhyarccya tajjasam ashnanti tena taddeha-yāntrāṁ sampadayanti te santa sarveśvarasya bhaktaha sarva-kilviṣair anādi-kāla-vivṛddhair atmanubhava pratibandhakair nikilai papair vimuchyante. The Supreme Lord, who is known as the yajña-puruṣaḥ, you can do the next paragraph, because second paragraph.
Okay.
Or the Supreme Lord, who is known as the yajña-puruṣaḥ, or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifices, is the master of all demigods who serve him as the different limbs of the body serve the whole. Demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, etc. are appointed officers who manage material affairs, and the Vedas direct sacrifices to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light, and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord Kṛṣṇa is worshipped, the demigods, who are different limbs of the Lord, are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there's no separate need to worship the demigods. For this reason, the devotees of the Lord who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Krishna and then eat, a process which nourishes the body spiritually. By such action, not only are past sinful reactions in the body vanquished, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. When there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic. Unless, of course, it doesn't. In which case, maybe it just reduces the symptoms. But then, anyway. An antiseptic vaccine, it's an analogy, protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic. Similarly, food offered to Lord Viṣṇu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to material affection. And one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats only food offered to Krishna can counteract all reactions of past material infections, which are impediments to the progress of self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not do so continues to increase the volume of sinful action, and this prepares the next body to resemble hogs and dogs, to suffer the resultant reactions of all sins. The material world is full of contaminations. One who is immunized by accepting prasadam of the Lord, food offered to Viṣṇu, is saved from the attack, whereas one who does not do so becomes subjected to contamination. Over to you, honey.
Okay. Food grains or vegetables are factually eatables. The human being eats different kinds of food grains, vegetables, fruits, etc. And the animals eat the refuse of the food grains and vegetables, grass, plants, etc. Human beings who are accustomed to eat meat and flesh must also depend on the production of vegetables in order to eat the vegetation, in order to eat the animals. Therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of field and not on the production of big factories. The field production is due to sufficient rains from the sky, and such rains are controlled by demigods like Indra, sun, moon, etc. And they are all servants of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices. Therefore, one who cannot perform them will find himself in a scarcity. That is the law of nature. Yajña, specifically the Sankirtan yajña prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from the scarcity and food supply. Wow.
Scarcity of food supply, yeah.
Food supply.
Jai Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I've heard people pronounce that word as scarcity.
Scarcity.
Yeah, like two words, scar and city, but scarcity, like scarce.
Oh, it's scarcity.
It means like scarceness, you know, like rarity.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look at the change log. So rain has gone to rains. Of course, no mention of that in there. Okay. Let's check that against Prabhupada's. From rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajña, and yajña is born of the prescribed duties. So he says rains, and here it says rain. Okay. To rains. And then in here, sarveśvaraṁ yajña-puruṣaḥ goes in there. This was where I stopped here, kilviṣair, because that's sarva-kilviṣair is in one of the verses, maybe a previous verse. Kilviṣair. What did Śrīla Prabhupada put? He put
Kilmasair.
Yeah, neither. But interestingly enough, you can see he's done Śrīla Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa, Baladeva here, instead of Baladeva. Baladeva. But that's even in Spanish, the B and the V are almost interchangeable, right?
Yeah, Baladeva.
Okay, so cleaning up this here, that kind of there, yeah, that's like a yajña-puruṣaḥ is in there. Taddeha-yāntrāṁ. So taddeha-yāntrāṁ. Okay, so they yantram versus yatram. Deha-yatram. taddeha-yāntrāṁ. He put taddeha-yāntrāṁ, and they've gone to taddeha-yāntrāṁ.
Taddeha-yāntrāṁ. Yeah.
Yeah, from yantram.
2 words, and the other one they converted in 3.
Mhm.
Okay.
The master of all the demigods who serve, master of all demigods who serve him as the different limbs of the body. Demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, etc. Indra, Chandra, and Varuna. Oh yeah, okay. It's going to say that etc. and like are. So in Śrīla Prabhupāda's manuscript, he's used the demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, etc. Etc. with like is considered redundant. Dude. That would have been okay in the first edit, but to go back and this is not a correction, it's a re-editing. Should have left it alone. Here's a conspiracy theory for you. On the podcast last night, with Narada Das and Ajit Krishna Das, Ajit Krishna Das said, you know, so he's making an assertion here or a speculation. The reason for the extensive editing like this is in order to be able to, it was part of the, I don't know if this is true, I'm just repeating what he said on there, was in order to be able to get the copyright as a derivative work to make it substantially different from the first edition.
I wouldn't be surprised with that, you know. Otherwise it will become, I don't know about the, I'm not too familiar with the, all of these
Copyright laws?
Yeah, copyright laws,
Right.
and so on. So I think that's something that we have to talk with someone that knows about those things at that time and how it's right now. And then we can have a comparison why they have done that, because.
But even then, I don't know about that. I think because this was done in 83 and they, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in 83, yeah, it could be 83, it could be 85, whatever. They have already an intention. They have an intention of what to do and why they're going to do and how long it will take.
Well, yeah.
In order to get something they already planned.
And even if they don't know, the 3 modes have a program for you.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But to do such a over editing about, you know, from the first edition and then continuously edit and change and add and subtract.
I mean,
like,
for me as a first edition editor, as an editor, if I saw that demigods like and etc., I can understand as an editor that, yeah, I would take out etc. personally as an editor. But the only thing is he just conceptualizes of himself as like basically re-editing the book, which is inappropriate. What, you know, was it in 1983 when he did this edit? You know, was he were they thinking ahead to like, we're gonna like you know, create it as a derivative work? I don't know. Maybe they were.
For sure.
And maybe they utilized his desire to re-edit it to do that. That's a possibility.
Well, that's what I'm, you know, what I'm asserting myself. In order for them to get where they want to get, they have to do something about it in the process of time. It takes only about time, you know. But they have like a time where they say, okay, in 5 years time, 10 years time, 15 years time, this is how much we're going to over edit to the point the book is not actually his anymore. It's my book. You see? So they, you know, now they're continuously editing the second edition that is not really the second edition anymore.
Yeah. And then
and then to a point now, even, I don't know, in these documents that appear that Śrīla Prabhupada was just like working and hire.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That was from 1987, I think that happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't that they said that Śrīla Prabhupada was for hire. They didn't explicitly say that because I saw it today. And I think I sent it to someone, so I'll drag it out.
Yeah, it will be good to read all of these documentations because that will give us a lot of hints about how these people are dealing or leading themselves. And, to this point, like second edition is not anymore a second edition, and people are just so blindly reading about it. And they gave themselves the right to continually do that, to the point the Bhagavad-gītā is just going to be like kind of like a comic book.
We got it. Here it is. Okay, so this was, where's the date? Is there a date on here somewhere? Come on. 1998. So you see, this was like 15 years after the edits. So I don't think edits were done with this in mind, personally, right? But they were useful for this. Now, here's what they said is Prabhupada's books, including all artwork, glossaries, and elaborate purports, were works for hire created by ISKCON Incorporated. Because you see, Prabhupada didn't personally do the artwork or the glossaries. Well, he did do the elaborate purports. Yeah, works for hire, created by ISKCON Incorporated. ISKCON Incorporated owned common law copyrights in them from the time they were created and became the owner of federal copyrights as soon as they were published with a copyright notice. I mean, Śrīla Prabhupada created the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust and ISKCON as two separate entities, two different entities. And here they're asserting that ISKCON owns the books because, let's have a look, if we can have a look at a different one here. State all facts on which you base the contention that ISKCON Incorporated either owned outright or owned beneficial title to various copyrights registered in the name of Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. Dude, I love conspiracies and stuff. I also love like being a lawyer. How do I get rid of the sidebar and make this bigger? Into full screen. Here we go. It's not making the things bigger. Okay.
Maybe that's enough we can get.
Okay. BBT objects to this interrogatory to the extent that it calls for the disclosure of any information protected by the attorney-client privilege or attorney work product doctrine, whatever. Discovery and investigation are ongoing in this matter, and BBTI reserves the right, but does not undertake, to supplement these responses as it discovers more information. Subject to the foregoing objections, both general and specific, and without waiving any of them, plaintiff BBTI responds to this interrogatory as follows. BBTI believes that ISKCON Incorporated owned the copyrights outright because the works in question were works for hire created by ISKCON Incorporated. ISKCON Incorporated supplied the employees who worked on the books with their materials and equipment. ISKCON Incorporated also supplied each of them with room and board and with a stipend for personal or family expenses. Such employees included those who worked in the art department, photography department, Sanskrit editors, Bengali editors, English editors, design and layout specialists, and proofreaders, among others. Now, you notice that they didn't mention anything about Śrīla Prabhupada's purports or translations, but they did say among others, right?
You know, the other thing as well here is incorporated supply each of them with room and, employees who worked on the books. Employees. I didn't know this. Prabhus or the Matachis, they were like doing all the artwork were employees.
Well, it says here that they were supplied with their materials and equipment, each of them with room and board and with a stipend for personal family expenses. So,
is that really true? Because I know that many of the devotees have given their life as a service, not for money.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not true, but it's just, how they're pitching it in the court.
No, we have to find a really.
So this was Hans Curry. Well, yeah, we need to get the guy.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of people who are involved in this case that we can get on. Okay, but that's by the by.
Employees. I don't know. The BBTI now is the owners.
Okay. Yeah. So let's get some of these people onto the Vaishnava Voices podcast, like Veda Guya, Krishna Kumari,
Mhm.
others who were directly involved in the whole thing.
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
Okay, back to the verse.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is the idea of the demigods, that they provide the utilities, just like getting the power connected or the water, and you got to pay your water bill and everything.
Mhm.
So one who enjoys these facilities of the demigods without offering anything in return is a thief
Mhm.
and will be punished.
Mhm.
Whereas because the demigods are the various organs of the body of the Supreme Lord, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, it's like watering the root of the tree. Automatically all the leaves are. You don't have to individually water the leaves, right? Or the example is like, my introduction to South America. So we took over the restaurant there in Lima, and part of that was like paying for the water. I think it was the water. So the guy comes to read the water meter. He rolls up, and then they tell me that, yeah, this is the way it works, is you pay him 20 soles, and then he winds the water meter back. That's how the water works here. And I was just from New Zealand. I wasn't used to that kind of level of corruption, right? Except for reading about it in the Bhagavad-gītā. Basically, that's the idea. You directly worship the demigod for the thing. You directly pay the guy, and he winds the meter back.
Mhm.
So, in some part, not in this one, but Śrīla Prabhupada said it is like bribing a government official, because the demigods actually have to do their jobs. And that's the argument that Krishna gives to Nanda Maharaj, because Nanda Maharaj is preparing for the indrādy-aṅga. And then Krishna says, so what are you doing, Dad? And he said, we're preparing to do the indrādy-aṅga. And he says, well, why do you do that? And he says, because Indra controls the rains, and we need to worship Lord Indra, otherwise the rain won't come. And then Krishna says, well, even if Indra does exist, he just has to do his job. But, he's like, I don't know, because the rains, like, they fall onto the ocean and no one's doing any yajñas there. So obviously if Indra does exist, he just has to make the rains work. So it's Krishna actually argues against the existence or the necessity of worshipping the demigods, and in fact against their existence. And then so he says, rather than wasting our energy worshipping this like mythical Indra or whatever, we should worship Govardhan Hill. Like, that thing's real, like it's really here. And that's where we take the cows and where they eat all the grass and everything. So that's really what's sustaining us. So instead he convinces his father to do a Govardhan puja instead of doing the Indra puja. And then of course Indra becomes angry with that and inundates Govardhan, for 7 days with the Samvartika clouds, and then they have to take shelter underneath the Govardhan hill. Krishna lifts it up, and it's the Govardhan Puja Lila. So that's about the demigods.
Although they have to be respected, you see, recognized, respected.
Well, that's the second half of it, isn't it? When Indra becomes angry. Yeah. Gonna drown them out. One other thing that's interesting in here is how it talks about when there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic.
Antiseptic. I don't know there was any such a thing, antiseptic vaccine.
Yeah, I know. That's an interesting one there, isn't it? People are like, oh, Prabhupada here, but he's giving an analogy. But yeah, a vaccine as it was understood until they changed the definition for COVID is different from an antiseptic. An antiseptic means like something that kills germs. Well, yeah, I guess the vaccine, it's meant to stimulate your immune system to kill the germs, right?
Yeah, but they're not putting they're putting like a dead bacteria into your body. Or no, it's not dead, but alive.
Attenuated.
So it can trigger your immune system to fight for it. So next time if that bacteria gets into your system, your body already knows.
Yeah, I mean, the original one, because I had a book when I was a kid. We had these books, The Value of like Honesty and The Value of Knowledge and The Value of Courage. And one of them had Louis Pasteur, and it had the story of the kid who got rabies. And by using an attenuated virus, or not even a virus, but like cowpox or something, like some immune system response gets stimulated by using like an attenuated. So they would use the cowpox against smallpox. So anyway, it's a whole thing. But here it's being used as an analogy, and then people have used it to go backwards to prove the an analogy is something from within the lived experience of people that they understand, and then you say it is like this thing, and you're introducing a new idea to them, and you're comparing it to something that they already know about.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, they can understand what this new thing is and incorporate it more easily into their own knowledge. It doesn't prove the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you might say, just like the earth goes around the sun, because people today, they think the earth goes around the sun. Does it? We're not 100% sure on that. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but most people will accept that. So you can use that as an analogy, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't prove that the earth goes around the sun just because you use that as an analogy.
I guess the thing is, like, he was a pharmacist, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can imagine him not being like a dodgy pharmacist, like doing something different, and like they're doing right now in this Kali Yuga.
Mm-hmm.
I would say he was more honest and careful of what he was creating then.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to these days, it's all about like a business model, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, at that time, they have to be a business model, but at the same time, they have to be quite careful what they're creating. And knowing Śrīla Prabhupada, he was a very direct and honest person. I wouldn't think he would be creating anything just to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. But anyways,
yeah,
that's me.
Yeah. The other thing about...
Is that different when in old times, like 20, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, compared to now? I want to speak 100 years ago, you see?
Well, I mean, it was like 50 years ago that Prabhupada... It's coming up to 50 years. And in 27, it'll be 50 years. 2027. 50th anniversary of Śrīla Prabhupada's disappearance.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I made a shout out to it. It's like an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic. But the one that they've been, the recent kind of ones, they redefined the definition of vaccine so that now, unlike any other vaccine prior to this most recent kind of one that they rolled out, those ones actually would protect you from the attack of such an epidemic, but this one doesn't, in the sense of stopping you from getting it, which the other ones do, supposedly. Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
The point that he's making here is that by offering food to Krishna and then eating it, not only are past sinful reactions in the body vanquished, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. So good. Food offered to Lord Viṣṇu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to a material affection, and one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord. The material world is full of contaminations, and one who is immunized by accepting prasadam of the Lord, food offered to Viṣṇu, is saved from the attack. Whereas one who does not do so becomes subjected to contamination. I'll tell you something about this, actually. I gave my example of everybody knows the earth goes around the sun. One of the things that now really annoys me about this is that Śrīla Prabhupada used a perfectly good analogy and they've gone and ruined it. People say, oh, this is an argument that Prabhupada supported vaccination. No, it's not. What this is an argument for is that the concept of vaccination has been modified in such a way that this analogy is now broken.
Yeah.
If you understand...
Well, it can misuse. This is obviously people are going to misuse this and justify themselves with this. But it's not the same thing how it was before in his times and how it's now. Yeah,
it was like, hey, you can bank on this thing, And, look, going into that whole thing that happened, people were writing on that. Yeah, you can bank on this. It had such a good... there were some people who were against it on principle, but generally speaking, they had a good reputation, and they used that reputation and that name to roll something out that didn't match that, and then they changed the definition of it. It says here that the material world is full of contaminations, and one who is immunized by accepting prasadam of the Lord is saved from the attack. It doesn't say it reduces the symptoms of the attack. But the definition of vaccination has now been modified so that, accepting prasadam of the Lord is like Prabhupada's use of the analogy here is like, this is a done deal. This is a gold standard. This is guaranteed to work. Not like it kind of like lessens the symptoms. We don't really know anyway. Food, grains, and vegetables. Ultimately, we have to depend on the production of the field and not on the big factories. Anything else you want to say about the purport or verse before we go to the taddeha?
No.
Okay.
So the field, keep it green.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the factories is not going to sustain you.
Nope.
All right. I may have to go to the kitchen, check with the milk.
Check the milk, okay. From food, creatures are born. From rain, food is produced. So it's funny because I don't know where ChatGPT gets its verses from. Sometimes it uses first edition, sometimes second, and this one is not even from Śrīla Prabhupada's. How did I set this thing up? What was the prompt that I gave it? Of Bhagavad-gītā. I should have said Bhagavad-gītā as it is. Okay. Let's see if it can do this. Please use Śrīla A.C. Bhakti Bhakti-vedanta Swami Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gītā as it is for the source of the verses.
And what will you do that? I'll be in the kitchen.
Help you in the kitchen? Like right now?
No. Will you finish that?
Yeah.
Okay, I will be in the kitchen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll finish it off. Yeah, okay. Very good. Okay, that's very polite, It's just said, I apologize for the oversight. I appreciate your patience and your guidance to use Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gītā as it is as the primary source. You know what? I could learn a lot from this. What is it called? Empathetic communication. And it's used the first edition. Very good. Very good. Okay. In Te Reo Māori, it might be translated as ka whānau. Ora ngā tinana katoa I runga I ngā purapura kai. Ka will whānau. Born or arise? Really? What is the meaning of the Te Reo term? Also, I have a concise Māori dictionary here. Let's have a look in here, see if it's covered. Yeah, I mean, that's how I understand whānau. It means like a family. Whānau. Be born. Okay. Family in a broad sense, offspring. Extended family, community of related people. It is used to refer to a group of people who may or may not be related by blood but share common values, responsibilities, and mutual obligations. The sense of shared community and collective responsibility is a key aspect of Māori culture. Okay, here it says whānau, it uses it as born or arise. Yep, that's what my dictionary says that it is too. Okay, all good. Ora, live or subsist. Māori ora. Ngā, the plural. Tinana, bodies. Katoa, all. I runga, on the top. I ngā purapura, grains or seeds. Kai, food. Yeah. Nā, ka whakaputahia ake ngā purapura kai I te ua. So, nā purapura kai nā ka whakaputahia. be produced. This here suffix, of course, is the passive marker. Ake, up, arise. Na pura pura, kai I teua, from the rain, ka. Ka puta ake, will arise. Puta teua, that's the rain. I on te whakatutu ki tanga. O te yajña, whakahonore. Yajña, and the whakahonore means like make an offering. Whakatuti ki tanga. Whakatutu ki tanga. Tanga means like well, if something means to perform, like if whakatutuki means to perform, then whakatutuki tanga means performance. I know what you'd say in English, perform to performance. Yeah, tanga is like ants. Like, yeah. O te yajña whakahonore. Whakahonore. A ka puta mai te yajña ina mahi whakarite. Ka, will, puta. What does this puta mean? Puta means come forth or emerge. Mai. Mai is from. Te yajña ina mahi whakarite. Or the yajña from the work. Whakarite. Let's see what whakarite says in here. Whakarite. The yajña will come from the prescribed duties. Whakarite, whakarite, whakarite. Whakarite. Arrange, make like, appoint, compare, or decide. Whakarite. Arrange, make like, appoint, compare, or decide. Yeah. Arrange, make like, appoint. Appointed work. Whakarite. Mahi whakarite. Ka whānau ora nā tinana katoa. All the bodies are born, will be born from I runga I nā purapura kai. From the grains, food. Ka whakaputahia ake arise nā purapura grains kai. Food grains I te ua, from the rain. Ka puta, puta means to will. Puta. Ka puta. Ka puta, come forth or emerge. Ka puta ake, come forth, arise. Te ua, the rain. I te whakatutu tanga, the performance o te yajña, of the yajña, whakahonore. That's the meaning of, that's the word yajña. In te reo Māori is whakahonore. A, ka puta mai te yajña I nā mahi ngā mahi whakarite. Will emerge mai. The yajña from the appointed work. So, mai means from, but I means from. Mai will arise from the yajña, from the works, the appointed works. Ka puta ake will arise ake, arise also. Ake and puta means both. I need to check this up or arise. Born from or comes from. Te ua, I te. So, in terms of the sentence structure, ka puta will emerge, arise the rain from the performance of the yajña, sacrifice. Will arise the rain. No, will emerge, arise the rain. from. So it looks like there's no like accusative and nominative forms in the language. It looks like it's the positioning of the words, like in English. Kafana will be born, ora subsist, na tinana katoa, all the bodies, I runga I na pura kai, from the food grains. Runga means the top, on or from. Ka whakaputahia ake nā pura kai I te ua. This needs to be really checked with a native speaker. Let's have a look, or someone who's fluent at least, but let's do the reverse translation and say, please translate the following into English. Yeah, so anyway, I'm starting to get more of a grasp of the language this way, grappling with it. Te reo Māori, all bodies are born healthy from food grains. Then the food grains are produced by the rain. The rain comes from the fulfillment of the yajña, honoring ritual, whakahonore. Whakahonore. And is it whakahonore or whakahonore? Whakahonore. Whakahonore. The honoring ritual. And the yajña arises from the prescribed duties. That's a good translation. So ora means healthy. Born healthy. Vana ora. Na tinana. Na tinana? Na tinana katoa. All of them. Kawhanau ora. Na tinana katoa. Will be born healthy. All the bodies. I runga I nā pura kai, the food grains. Na. What does na mean? Na means and. Na ka whakaputahia ake nā pura kai I te ua. Ka will whakaputahia, the performance ake. No, that's not the performance. Whakaputahia, performed. No? Be produced. Whakaputahia. So there's the word here, puta, which means to arise, to brought forth, to come forth or to emerge. So whaka means causative, puta, emerge, here, passive. So whakaputahia means to make, be emerged, to be produced. Be produced. Ake. Arise. Up. Nā pura kai I te ua. Will be produced, brought forth, nā pura kai, the food grains, I te ua, by the rain, produced by the rain. So I means from, or also it means by. Okay. On or from, yeah, by. Ka whakaputahia ake nā pura kai I te ua. Ka puta will emerge, ake, arise, te ua, the rain, I te whakatutukitanga o te yajña, by the performance of whakahonore, the honoring ritual. What does the mean? And. Na means and means na means and means and. Ka puta mai te yajña I nā mahi whakarite. Let's have a look at this one again. Concise Māori dictionary. And let's have a look at and in the English part. So it's got an English to te reo. And if I look up and in here, it says Unbelievable. It doesn't even have and in here. So let's look up na. Well, it has nga, the plural. Na, what? It doesn't have na in here. Okay. Oh, yeah, here we go. Na. Belonging to, by way of, an adverb indicating nearness to the person addressed. Used at the beginning of a sentence to attract attention. Okay. And what about and, as far as, until or when. As a preposition, it means of, at the time of, after, the manner of, etc. And as an adverb, well. Interesting. Ka puta mai, ka, will, puta mai. So it looks as though the verbs to emerge, like this, it doesn't look like the verbs get, for tenses, it doesn't look like they get modified, except they have a modifier, will, like will run. I run, I will run, like in English, like that. Anything in my Maori book about that? No, I need another book which has the Maori, Te Reo Maori grammar book, grammar and syntax, vocabulary. I need grammar and syntax. If I can get a grammar and syntax book, I can nail this thing. Okay, so there you go. That's as close as we can get it. It looks pretty good. It translates back and forth. Ka whānau, ora nā tinana katoa, I runga I nā purapura kai, nā ka whakaputahia, ake nā purapura kai I te wā. Ka puta ake te wā I te whakatutukitanga o te yajña, whakahonore. Ka puta mai te yajña I ngā mahi whakarite. And great translation. All bodies are born healthy from food grains. Then the food grains are produced by the rain. The rain comes from the fulfillment of the yajña, the honoring ritual, and the yajña arises from the prescribed duty. Namahi whakarite. Namahi whakarite. The prescribed duties. Didn't it say prescribed duties? I wonder if it's cheating. I mean, let's try this. Please translate. Nah. Oh, I can't get a macron. It's still this A here. See? Ding. Mahi whakarite. Ding. Let's see what it does. Namahi whakarite. The prescribed duties or the planned tasks. Yeah. It's cool. The prescribed duties or the planned tasks. But good. Man. This is actually closer to the Māori worldview than it is to the underlying worldview in English. I'm pretty sure if I was to bust this out, somewhere on a marae, people would just be like, yeah, yep. Mm-hmm. Whereas you say that to people in an English-speaking audience, and they're like, sounds weird. Like the concept of it, but the concepts of it just seem more of a natural fit. Yeah. Okay, back to the Sanskrit and the conceptually closer. Okay, Bhagavad-gītā 3:14, annād bhavanti, annād bhavanti bhūtāni, parjanyād anna-sambhavaḥ, yajñād bhavati parjanyo, yajña karma-samudbhavaḥ. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rain. Rains are produced by performance of yajña, sacrifice, and yajña is born of prescribed duties. Vaishnava Sevadas is watching. Thanks for tuning in. And he asks, you giving Māori class? So we're translating Bhagavad-gītā as it is into Te Reo Māori, and I'm learning to speak Te Reo Māori at the same time. That's how I learned to speak Spanish, was from studying Srila Prabhupada's books in Spanish. So learning it, taking a Māori class rather than giving one at the moment. Thanks for tuning in. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna.